Grandparents, 60s M and F, have re-entered my F/19 life after my mother, F/dead, died. They've asked that I move across the country to be with them. I've never even met them. I grew up in a dysfunctional, poor, and at times, dangerous, family. My mom was an alcoholic and moderate user of drugs while my father was on disability for a while, but also a heavy drug user. He was in and out of our lives. He'd come into it for a couple of years at a time and then disappear. My mom drank and would do drugs when she could score some. We moved every couple of months, and I grew up in poverty. For a time, I was in foster care because of this. I never knew my mother's family and only occasionally met my father's family. My father kept saying that my mom was from somewhere on the East Coast, and they had a nice life and were very powerful. He once told me they tried to ruin their lives, so I never had a positive opinion of them. I didn't want to come across their path and have them hurt me, too. My mom died from alcohol-related liver and kidney disease 2 years ago, and I received emails from people who were my mom's family asking about a funeral. We didn't have one. I received a letter saying that if I ever wanted to meet my grandparents that I could always contact them, and it told me how. I was furious. I couldn't believe they knew how to reach us. My dad used to beat me, screamed at me and tormented me. My mother would get drunk and egg him on and then pretend to be sorry. They exposed me to people who sexually abused me. My mother would get high at a friend's house and he'd do awful things. My mother drank our grocery money, hocked everything I ever had, and basically kept us as poor as possible. She died at 37 but looked like she was 70. Her hair was grey, her teeth missing, and the skin on her face sagged. I was so angry that they could have gotten me out of this but let me suffer. I let a year go by but figured that I should eventually learn about my background, medical history and the like. My father is gone again, so I probably won't hear from him for several years, so I figured because COVID, it would be hard to meet in person and it would be easier to keep things online. Connected with them via email and received a follow-up from my grandmother almost immediately. We exchanged emails. She scanned me photos my mom had sent. I finally asked her why she never came to help. I got an email back that was huge. It described numerous attempts to step in, to try and get custody, but how they were blocked. There was detail about a court case, which I vaguely remember. Turns out my grandparents tried to get Arizona courts to send a minor child to South Carolina, which they refused. My grandmother said it was the biggest regret in life that she couldn't save me. She said they even considered hiring bounty hunters, but he talked them out of it. I met them on Skype and seeing them was shocking. They're in their mid-60s but look like they're no older than 50. My grandfather bikes every day, is a practicing surgeon and volunteer at local groups. My grandmother is a retired physician who now rehabs animals and looks after her other grandchildren as much as she can. I have 2 aunts and an uncle. All of them are doctors and they all look so much like my mom. They even have her weird southern drawl. My aunts cried a lot and my uncle offered to help any way he could. It was so bizarre to see them, so weird to see people who remind me of my mother. I asked what happened and got a very interesting story. My mom was a normal person but hit her head at 15 and just completely lost it. My mom had a weird dent in her skull. They tried everything, but lost her to drugs. Experts said to cut her off to stop supporting her habits. What surprised me was that my mom had told me something similar once. She was on an ice bender and told me this bizarre story of falling out a window and being a changed person. She often said weird things when she was doing too much ice, but I guessed that one was true. Over the last 7 months we've Skyped 1 to 2 times a week. They've begun sending me money and even gave me a credit card for emergencies. Recently though they made me an offer, leave Arizona and move in with them. They'll pay for school, help me out financially and get me good health insurance. They want the best for me and said they'll send trucks to get my things and fly me east. I've never met them in person and I've never really left where I live. Suddenly they're asking me to go live with them. I was shocked and terrified but also, it's finally a way out. I've always wanted to be a vet, but my grades in high school were crap. They said they have ways to help and not to worry. I could finally do something and get away from working at Walmart. Part of me thinks this is the best option. Part of me worries about what it would mean. The thing is, So far everything they've ever said makes perfect sense. My mom did have a head injury. I do remember going to court and hearing about court cases. My father told me that my grandparents were powerful people and to fear them, but their whole family seems normal. I gather they all attend church pretty regularly, which I don't, but other than that, they don't seem to be bad or difficult people. I have nobody to talk to about this. I'm so sick of being poor that I could scream and this would make everything different. I just don't have anyone's outside perspective. Too long didn't read. Grandparents that I've never met asked me to go and live with them. I'm considering it because I'm broke and live in a dumping as and this would help me get a huge leg up. Not sure what to do. Source: am grandfather. Go. Grandchildren are what we live for. They're going to be so happy to get to know you. It will make them happy and proud to be able to help you out. Think of it as a chance for them to make good where their daughter failed, or where they may feel they failed their daughter. I don't see that you have anything to lose by going, and I see that you have a lot you would be gaining. This is a great second shot at life. I would take it. I was given a similar chance by a family friend and it changed my life forever. I got to go to college and had so much more opportunity than I would have ever had otherwise, and I am so much better for it that I can't explain in less than 1,000 pages. Your father had his own relationship with them and I suspect they didn't like him, so I would not base your opinion of them on his works. If they have no one else, you could be their caretaker down the road at some point. Something to consider. Your efforts would likely be rewarded given how generous they sound. Good luck! Exclamation mark. Take them up on their offer. As someone who came from a neglectful and abusive home and gained contact with my grandmother at 22, after 4 years no contact with my mother, it was the absolute best thing that ever happened to me. I'm almost 31 now and my grandmother has changed my life, just with her love and support. It feels like you have the opportunity to have that. X2. Not going for it would be a mistake. Sounds like they genuinely love you and always have but weren't allowed access to you. Just like my nana. Worst case scenario, you hate it there and it doesn't work out. You still haven't lost anything. Best case, you gain the almost parental relationships that you were missing, you gain unconditional love and support for the first time, and your entire life is better for it. I'm so glad you found each other. Wishing you all of the luck and love. Go. Please, your ship has just come in. It won't be easy. There will be a culture shock, but if they are as genuine as your story seems, you will be surrounded by love. I want you to go and post a big update 6 months from now about how much better your life is. I'm pulling for you. My 23 meters, girlfriend 22F and I were having unprotected sex and I asked her to get off of me when I was about to finish and she didn't. Me and my girlfriend have been together for 2 years and have had a good relationship. I know that a lot of people are gonna go off on me because we weren't using condoms and she isn't on birth control, but we don't do it often. Usually I'll use a condom, but on rare occasions we just get caught up in the act and we forget condoms. 2 weeks ago, a little before Valentine's Day, we had sex and I forgot to put in a condom. She was on top of me and it got to the point where I was about to finish and I needed her to get off so I wouldn't finish in her. Usually I'll just like pinch her on the butt and she knows that means to get off. I did this and she didn't get off. I said, babe, I'm about to come, you need to get off. And she kept riding me. She weighs like 35 pounds more than me and I couldn't push her off unless I physically hurt her, which I obviously didn't want to do. She kept ignoring me and eventually I finished. She still didn't get off of me until like 2 minutes later. I yelled at her for not getting off when I asked her and she said that she was too in the moment so she didn't hear me. I feel like this was complete bullshit. I'm not ready for a kid, so I said that she needed plan B. She said she didn't want to take it. Full disclosure, I have no idea what this would even mean, but she said she wasn't ovulating so she couldn't get pregnant. I don't know what ovulating that means, so that could be true or false. I didn't get her to agree to plan B without having to threaten to leave her apartment for the night. We got it, she took it, and this week she had her period so she's not pregnant. I haven't had sex with her since. I feel very hurt by this situation and I want to forgive her because I love her, but I don't know how to or if I even should. We've been together for 2 years and she's the only woman I've ever had feelings for, and I don't want to just throw this relationship away. I don't know what I should do. Maybe she didn't hear you in the moment, but then adding in the fact that she didn't want to take plan B, it sounds like she wants you to impregnate her. 1. Google ovulating. I'm not trying to be rude, I just can't/don't want to type it all out. 2. Depending on how long she took plan B after you guys had sex depends on how effective it is. The sooner the better. 3. Just because she got her period doesn't mean she's not pregnant. Many women can get a period or more even when they're pregnant. I would wait at least a month or so to see if she has another period or takes a test. 4. You can still get a woman pregnant on her period or off her ovulation cycle. There's different chances and it all depends on the woman's body, but a woman can get pregnant any time of her cycle. Lastly, this is extremely unhealthy behavior. It's no different from a woman telling a man to get off and he doesn't. It's date rape. I would be extremely cautious. I know you won't break up with her per a stranger's advice. All I can say is be careful. Do not forget the condoms anymore, ever, unless you're able to get a straight answer from her as to why she did this on purpose. Best of luck, and I'm very sorry this happened to you. It shouldn't happen. A pinch, a word, a get off of me. No one's in the moment that much where they neglect to see or hear these things. Edit, typos and adding number 4. This is in fact rape. Thank you. Removing a condom during sex is rape. Ignoring a partner clearly asking to stop is rape. You shouldn't have to ask twice. So sorry this happened but please take this situation seriously and ignore any advice brushing over her behavior. What happened to you was wrong and no accident on her part. Not enough people are calling it like it is. She raped you. 2 words. Baby trap. But we don't do it often, it only takes once. First, if you don't want to be a father then use a condom every single time. Pulling out is not an effective means of birth control. 1 in 5 people who use the withdrawal method get pregnant every year, citing the Planned Parenthood website. Make sure she can't tamper with your condoms as well. Second, if you don't understand ovulation then your sex education is seriously lacking. If you don't understand reproductive biology, you shouldn't be having sex. Time to study up. Third, has she even asked to be forgiven? How do you forgive someone who is not asking for forgiveness? Does she even care if you're feeling hurt? Do you trust her not to do this again? If the trust is gone, the relationship is dead. I know that a lot of people are gonna go off on me because we weren't using condoms and she isn't on birth control, but we don't do it often. #IT only takes one time. If you do not want children, use multiple forms of protection. If you are too immature, wait for a time when contraception is available. You should not be having sex. How do I 29 make my long-lost daughter feel at home after not knowing her for the first 11 years of her life? Early in January, I got a call from my fiancée 25 that I had to come home right away and she sounded panicked. I rolled up to the front door and see my fiancée and a young black girl, we are both white, sitting on the porch that was claiming to be my daughter. I come from a moderately wealthy southern family and unfortunately my father was not really that accepting of other cultures and skin colors of people. I was his golden son and he always paid for everything that I needed including my house and college. This gave me quite the ego when I was younger and got around a lot. One woman that I had a fling with when I was in high school was black and we always kept it on the down low until she got pregnant. I told my father when she was 6 months pregnant and he sort of took over the situation. He demanded a paternity test from her and when he claimed to me that he found out the baby was not mine. Being the stupid 17-year kid at the time, I thought I had dodged a bullet and the woman quickly stopped texting me after that. Fast forward to the present, my father did not take social distancing too seriously and ended up catching the virus from his golfing buddy before Christmas. He passed away and did not get all of his affairs in order before his passing. I have since found out that he has been essentially paying hush money to my daughter's grandpa for the past 11 years and he meant to set aside a trust fund for her before he died without me ever knowing because he wanted me to have a normal life and not be a single dad to a biracial daughter. When my dad died suddenly, Her grandpa stopped receiving money and decided to drive the girl to my house and dump her with my fiance on our doorstep. This whole thing has been a whirlwind, but her mom's side of the family is mostly old and not really capable of supporting her without the money that my dad was sending anyways. Of course I got another paternity test and confirmed that the girl is in fact mine. I also called the police to come get the girl before I knew she was mine because I did not think it was okay for her to be with strange people she had never met. Everything with CPS and custody and courts has been an absolute nightmare. Her mom has not been found, but essentially the girl is staying with my fiance and I starting last week to see if it will be a good fit on a permanent basis. Biggest problem is that she has been taught that my family rejected her because she is black and that we would never accept her. I learned this because we went to family counseling sessions before she was allowed to live at my house and a lot of stuff came out. She does not call me dad and she barely comes out of her room except to grab meals. My fiance has been super accepting of the girl, but she has been annoyed with my late father and has taken a lot of her anger out on me. I have been accused of being complicit in my dad's action by basically everyone including the social workers, and I am completely emotionally drained by everything now. Despite this, I really want to make it work out with my daughter, but I feel like the 11-year absence from her life combined with the race dynamics may make it impossible for us to have a good relationship going forward. Do you guys think I have any chance of making this work out? Would you all do anything different? I really need some outside perspectives on this one. Too long didn't read. I had a daughter in high school. Family hid it from me so I could have a normal life, only for daughter to show up on my doorstep 11 years later, and I need advice on what to do now.